a new blow was being prepared to break the Gustav Line. The New Zealand Corps had been formed on the 3rd of February under the command of General Bernard Freyberg. It comprised the 2nd New Zealand Division and the 4th Indian Division. They had both been transferred from the Adriatic front. The original Fifth Army plan was for the Corps to be used as the breakout force into the Liri Valley once the Gustav Line had been decisively broken. This plan was revised following the failure of attempts to break the line by the US 34th and 36th Divisions earlier in February. The new plan called for the Indians to capture the Abbey. The New Zealand Division was to cross the Rapido on the 18th of February and create a bridgehead. That would be the springboard for an armoured drive into the Liri Valley the following day. On the night of the 11th of February, 7 Indian Brigade in the 4th Indian Division moved to Caira to relieve US troops. The plan called for 36th Division to hold Monte Castellone, while the Indians immediately attacked towards Monte Casino from points 593, 450 and 445. But this was disrupted by German attacks on Castellone. The handover was only completed on the 15th. Some of the American infantry were by then so cold and tired that they could not walk. Some Allied commanders were convinced that the Germans had reneged on a commitment not to use the monastery as a defensive position. On the 14th of February, Freyberg visited Fifth Army Commander Mark Clark to assert that the monastery had to be dealt with. According to Clark's diaries, Freyberg said that if he was to take the monastery hill, the abbey would have to be flattened. He could not be responsible for the capture or failure to capture if the abbey were left as an obstacle. As General Freyberg was leaving, French Expeditionary Corps Commander General Join arrived, and the two had a short talk. General Join expressed the idea that flattening the abbey was unnecessary, as troops could bypass it and then smoke it when the final decisive push was put on. General Freyberg said that the matter was all decided. Mediterranean Allied Air Forces Commander Lieutenant General Ira Ika had previously flown over the Abbey and reported that he believed he saw at least one military radio aerial inside the monastery and enemy soldiers walking in and out of the building. Machine gun posts only 50 yards from the Abbey's walls were also reported. Both Clark and II Corps Commander Geoffrey Keyes remained unconvinced, but Freyberg had Commander-in-Chief General Alexander's support. The bombing was to go ahead. On the afternoon of Monday the 14th of February, shells containing leaflets were fired into the area of the Abbey, warning people to evacuate it. Orders for the attack by a bomber force estimated at 142 B-17 Flying Fortresses plus 87 B-25 Mitchells and B-26 Marauders were issued that night to take advantage of forecasts of good weather on the morning of the 15th of February. The Indian Division had been instructed to assault the Abbey on the 16th, which was the originally planned date for the bombing. Its request for the attack to start immediately after it took place was rejected. At 9:28 on the morning of the 15th of February, the first bomb was released on the monastery. A total of 600 tons was dropped, and the Abbey was subjected to an artillery bombardment. Some bombers missed their target by miles. Further bombing attacks took place over the following days, but the destruction of the Abbey had made the Indian Division's task more challenging. The Germans occupied its ruins and turned them into a redoubt, and they were prepared when the Indian Division assault on the Abbey finally began.